Listen closely, because 2026 isn't just another year, it's your year. Imagine waking up every morning charged with unstoppable energy, clarity, and purpose. What would it feel like if every decision you made, every action you took, propelled you closer to the life you've always dreamed of? Today, I'm not going to give you a magic pill or empty promises. I'm going to ask you 6 simple but powerful questions that, when answered honestly, will shift the way you think, act, and live. If you commit right now, 2026 can become the turning point you've been waiting for. Your time starts today. Let's begin where every real transformation begins. Not with what you want, not with what you hope for, but with who you decide to become. Because if you walk into 2026 as the same person you were in 2025, carrying the same emotional patterns, the same standards, the same excuses, then I don't care how many goals you write down, your results will eventually drag you right back to where you started. Goals don't create lasting change. Identity does. Most people think success is about doing more, pushing harder, trying longer, but doing comes after being. Every action you take is an expression of who you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, you'll find ways to struggle. If you see yourself as someone who quits when it gets uncomfortable, you won't even notice when you're sabotaging yourself. It'll feel normal. And that's the trap. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our identity. So here's the real question you must ask yourself as you look toward 2026. Who must I decide to become starting now to make this my best year? Not someday, not when things calm down, not when you feel ready, now. Because the moment you decide, your brain begins to look for evidence to support that decision. Your focus shifts, your standards shift, your behavior follows. Think about it. 2 people can face the same challenge. One sees it as proof they're not good enough. The other sees it as a signal to rise. Same event, different identity. One collapses, one grows stronger. Life will test you in 2026. Count on it. The difference is not whether problems show up. The difference is who shows up to meet them. If you decided that in 2026, you are the kind of person who does what they say they'll do, how would that change your mornings? If you decided you're someone who protects their energy, how would that change what you tolerate from others? If you decided you're someone who finishes what they start, how would that change the way you show up when motivation disappears? And it will disappear. Identity is built through decisions reinforced by action. You don't wait to feel confident to act confident. You act and confidence follows. You don't wait to feel disciplined. You do the hard thing when it's inconvenient, and discipline becomes part of who you are. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you cast a vote for a new identity. Every time you break one, you reinforce the old story. Most people are living inside an identity they didn't consciously choose. It was handed to them by past failures, by criticism, by society, by moments of pain they never redefined. And until you challenge that story, you'll keep repeating it. That's why this year, this moment, you must make it conscious. Decide deliberately, decide with emotion, decide with finality. Ask yourself, if 2026 were already over and it was undeniably your best year, how would you describe the person you became? Not what you achieved, who you became. Stronger, calmer, more focused, more courageous, more consistent. That description is not a fantasy, it's a blueprint. And once you see it clearly, your job is simple, not easy, but simple. Act in alignment with that identity, especially when it's uncomfortable, because the truth is, your old self will fight to survive. It loves familiarity, even if familiarity is painful. The moment you raise your standards, the moment you say, this is who I am now, there will be resistance from your habits, from your environment, sometimes from people close to you. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're early. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You need to install a new identity and prove it to yourself daily in small, undeniable ways. Wake up when you said you would. Finish the workout even when your mind negotiates. Have the difficult conversation you've been avoiding. These are not small actions. These are identity-defining moments. And here's what most people miss. Once identity shifts, effort drops. Things that used to require willpower become automatic. You don't argue with yourself about whether to show up, you just do, because that's who you are now. That's how momentum is built. That's how 2026 stops being just another year and becomes a turning point. So don't ask yourself what you want from 2026. Ask yourself who you're willing to become to deserve it. Decide once and then prove it every day. Now let's talk about something most people avoid because it's uncomfortable, but it's the doorway to real progress. If you want 2026 to be different, you have to be honest about one truth. You cannot move forward while holding on to everything from the past. Growth demands release. Every new chapter in life requires an ending, and endings are hard because they force us to confront what's familiar, what feels safe, even when it's hurting us. So the question becomes simple but powerful. What am I willing to leave behind to move forward? Not what should I leave behind? Not what I hope to change someday. What am I willing right now to release? Even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it challenges who I've been. Most people try to add success on top of their current life, add new habits, add new goals, add new commitments, without subtracting the behaviors, beliefs, and environments that created their current results. That doesn't work. You don't need more on your plate. You need less of what's weighing you down. You need to stop carrying things that no longer serve the person you're becoming. Think about it. Every habit you keep has a cost. Every excuse has a price. Every toxic pattern, whether it's procrastination, negative self-talk, unhealthy relationships, or the need for approval, is quietly stealing from your future. And the danger is not that these things are dramatic, it's that they're familiar. Familiar feels safe, and safe keeps you stuck. Here's what most people don't realize. Letting go isn't about loss, it's about leverage. When you release what drains you, you reclaim energy. When you walk away from what no longer aligns, you create space for what does. But you can't receive with clenched fists. You have to open your hands. Ask yourself honestly, what patterns have you outgrown but keep revisiting? What excuses have you used so many times they now sound like facts? What standards have you lowered just to avoid discomfort or conflict? These aren't small things. These are anchors. And no matter how strong the ship is, it won't move forward until the anchor is lifted. Sometimes what you need to leave behind isn't a behavior, it's a belief. The belief that you're too late, that you missed your chance, that this is just the way you are. Those stories may feel real, but they're just interpretations, and interpretations can be changed. The past does not get a vote in your future unless you give it one. And then there are relationships. This is where it gets real. Not every relationship is meant to go where you're going. Some people are in your life for a season, not a lifetime. Holding on out of guilt or history can quietly sabotage your growth. This doesn't mean anger. It doesn't mean blame. It means honesty. You can love someone and still recognize that their influence is pulling you backward. Letting go doesn't always mean walking away physically. Sometimes it means changing the role something plays in your life, lowering access, raising boundaries, choosing self-respect over people-pleasing. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable because you're breaking an old pattern. But discomfort is the price of transformation, and comfort is the price of staying the same. Here's the deeper truth. The reason letting go feels so hard is because part of your identity is attached to what you're releasing. The struggle, the story, the excuse, it's familiar. It gives you a sense of certainty, even if it's painful. When you let go, there's a moment of uncertainty, and that moment is where most people turn back. But if you stay there long enough, something powerful happens. You don't fall apart, you expand and understand this. You don't have to let go of everything at once, but you do have to let go of something real, something meaningful, something that deep down you know has been holding you back, because progress requires proof. It requires a decision that costs you something. Otherwise, it's just a wish. Ask yourself, what would my life look like if I stopped negotiating with my own potential? What if I stopped explaining why I can't and started proving that I can? The moment you stop defending your limitations, you free yourself to build strength. 2026 doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs a lighter one, a braver one who's willing to release the past to claim the future. Because the life you want is not ahead of you. It's waiting for you to let go of what's behind you. And here's the line you draw in the sand. You don't get a new year without new choices. Let go or be held back. Now let's shift the focus, because this is where most people dilute their power. They're busy, they're trying, they're doing a hundred things at once, and yet nothing truly changes. Effort is everywhere, but progress is nowhere. And it's not because they're lazy, it's because they're scattered. They've mistaken movement for momentum. Here's the question that cuts through the noise. What is the one area, if I truly master it in 2026, that would upgrade everything else in my life? Not 10 things, not a long list. One, because when your energy is divided, your results are diluted. But when your focus is concentrated, your life can shift faster than you ever imagined. Most breakthroughs don't come from doing more. They come from doing less better. The most successful people aren't the ones chasing everything. They're the ones who identified the leverage point and committed to mastery. Health, focus, emotional control, communication, discipline, skill. One of these, when mastered, can act like a force multiplier across every area of your life. Think about it. If your energy is low, everything feels hard. If your focus is weak, your time disappears. If your emotional state controls you, circumstances own you. But when you strengthen the right muscle, suddenly your relationships improve, your work improves, your confidence improves, not because you chased each one separately, but because you upgraded the operating system running it all. Most people don't fail because they choose the wrong goal. They fail because they never commit long enough to mastery. They start strong, then get distracted. They feel a little resistance, a little boredom, and they jump to the next thing. And every time they do that, they reinforce an identity of inconsistency. Progress requires patience, and mastery demands depth. Let's be honest, focusing on one thing feels uncomfortable in a world that celebrates multitasking. It feels like you're missing out. It feels slow. But depth always beats speed in the long run. When you master one area, you gain confidence, not fake confidence, but earned confidence. And that confidence spills over into everything else you touch. Ask yourself this: what area of my life, if strengthened, would make the biggest difference right now? Not what sounds impressive, not what looks good on social media, what actually matters. What's the foundation? Because building on a weak foundation doesn't give you freedom, it gives you stress. And once you identify that one area, here's the next level question. Am I willing to commit to it daily, even when there's no immediate reward? Mastery is boring before it's brilliant. The early stages don't give you applause. They give you repetition. They give you discipline. They give you quiet progress that only you can see. And that's where most people quit. But imagine this. Imagine looking back at the end of 2026, knowing you didn't dabble, you committed. Knowing you didn't just try, you trained. Knowing you didn't just hope, you built. That kind of progress changes the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you see yourself, because nothing boosts belief like evidence. Here's another truth. You don't need to be perfect at your focus area. You need to be consistent. Consistency compounds. Small daily improvements don't feel powerful in the moment, but over time, they create unstoppable momentum. And momentum is the real secret. Once you have it, everything else becomes easier. And understand this, focusing on one area doesn't mean ignoring the rest of your life. It means prioritizing what moves the needle most. It means choosing depth over distraction. It means saying no to good things so you can say yes to the right thing. That's not limitation. That's leadership. 2026 is not the year to spread yourself thin. It's the year to go all in on what matters most. Because when you master the right thing, everything else rises with I. Choose the one thing and let it change everything. Think about this for a moment. What would happen if you stopped waiting for the perfect conditions and started taking massive action right now? Too many people fall into the trap of believing that timing, circumstances, or even luck are the keys to success. They sit on the sidelines, waiting for a sign, waiting for the moment when everything feels just right. But here's the truth. The perfect moment doesn't exist. What exists is the decision to step forward, the commitment to take action, and the willingness to face discomfort head on. You see, action is the fuel that transforms dreams into reality. Dreams alone are just fantasies, beautiful but powerless without the energy of consistent, determined action. And I'm not talking about random action, the kind of action where you keep busy but make no real progress. I'm talking about deliberate, focused, relentless action. Action that pushes you out of your comfort zone, that challenges every limiting belief you've ever held, that shakes your confidence loose and demands that you rise to the occasion. When you take action, something magical happens. Fear doesn't disappear overnight, but it loses its grip. Resistance doesn't vanish completely, but you learn to move forward despite it. Doubt still whispers in the back of your mind, but now you've got momentum on your side. Action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Every single day that you choose to move forward, even a little, you reinforce that bridge. And the longer you walk it, the stronger it becomes. Ask yourself, what actions, no matter how small, could I take today that would bring me closer to the life I want in 2026? Often we underestimate the power of these small, seemingly insignificant steps. But let me tell you something, these steps compound over time. One small choice and consistently can become a habit. One habit repeated daily can become a lifestyle. And one lifestyle cultivated with intention and purpose can completely transform the trajectory of your life. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to wait for validation. You don't even need to wait for inspiration. The only thing you need is the decision to act and to act consistently. Now, here's the real game changer. Taking action creates clarity. You see, when you're stuck in your mind, analyzing every possible outcome, worrying about what might go wrong, you feel paralyzed. But action clears that fog. Action forces you to confront reality. It exposes the gaps in your knowledge, the weaknesses you need to strengthen, the opportunities that were invisible when you were standing still. You can't learn everything by thinking. You can't grow by staying in your comfort zone. You learn, you adapt, you grow when you take action and respond to what life shows you in return. And the beauty of this process is that each step you take, each risk you embrace, builds confidence. Confidence isn't something that magically appears. It's forged in the fire of experience. And every time you take action, even when you fail, you gain more than you lose. You gain lessons, resilience, and a deeper understanding of your own power. Consider the areas of your life that are most important to you. Is it your health, your relationships, your career, your finances, your personal growth? Whatever it is, the principle is the same. Nothing changes without action. You can read all the books, attend all the seminars, watch all the motivational videos, but if you don't act, nothing transforms. Knowledge is potential energy. Action is kinetic energy. And energy in motion produces results. This is why those who consistently achieve massive success aren't necessarily more talented or smarter. They are more committed to taking action, and they are willing to persist when others quit. And here's something most people overlook. Taking action builds momentum. Think about a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it's small, awkward, and slow. But as it rolls, it gathers snow, it gains speed, it becomes unstoppable. Your actions work the same way. The first step might feel insignificant, but it sets the stage for the next and the next until you're moving faster than you ever imagined possible. Momentum makes the impossible feel possible. Fear feels smaller, and obstacles feel like opportunities to prove your strength. But here's the secret to making this principle work in your favor. Action must be intentional. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. Prioritize the actions that will have the biggest impact on your life, the ones aligned with your ultimate vision for 2026. Eliminate distractions, cut out the noise, and focus relentlessly on the steps that move the needle. This is where discipline comes in. Discipline isn't about restriction, it's about direction. It's the ability to focus your energy on what truly matters, to say yes to what advances your goals and no to everything else. When you combine intention with consistent action, you create unstoppable forward motion. Let's talk about fear for a second, because fear will always be there. Fear is the enemy of action. Fear will try to convince you to wait, to hesitate, to play it safe, but action is the antidote to fear. Action diminishes fear because it proves to you again and again that you are capable. Each step you take forward, despite fear, is a declaration of your power. Each choice to act is a statement that you refuse to be ruled by doubt. The more you act, the less fear controls you. The more you act, the more you understand that the life you desire is not a fantasy, it's a reality waiting for your courage to meet it. And here's the final point. Action transforms not only your circumstances, but also your identity. When you act, you stop talking about the person you want to be and start becoming that person. Action creates habits, habits create character, and character creates destiny. If you want to be someone who achieves extraordinary results, you must act like that person every day. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Let your actions define you, not your excuses. Let your actions shape your future, not your fears. The difference between a life lived at potential and a life fully realized is measured in the actions you take when no one is watching, when it's uncomfortable, when it matters most. So I ask you again, what will you do today that your future self will thank you for? What action can you take right now that sets the stage for an extraordinary 2026? Remember, the power is in your hands. The path is in front of you. The results are waiting for those willing to move. Don't wait for circumstances. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for confidence to arrive. Take action, persist relentlessly, and watch how your life transforms, because action is the only bridge between where you are and the life you were meant to live. Now, let's get real for a moment. One of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself as you step into 2026 is this: what am I willing to let go of? Most people enter a new year carrying the weight of old habits, past disappointments, toxic relationships, and limiting beliefs. They think that in order to move forward, they must hold on tightly to everything they've ever experienced, every grievance, every failure, every story about why life didn't work out for them. But here's the truth. Nothing in your life changes until you decide to release what's holding you back. You can't pour new energy into your future. If your hands are full of yesterday's baggage, and letting go isn't always easy, it requires courage, because when you release something, whether it's a habit, a mindset, or even a relationship, you are stepping into the unknown. The unknown is uncomfortable, and our minds naturally resist discomfort. That's why so many people choose to cling to what is familiar, even when familiar is painful. But you, standing here today, have the opportunity to be different. You have the opportunity to confront that fear and make a conscious choice. Am I going to hold on to what no longer serves me, or am I going to create space for something greater? Let's talk about habits for a second, because habits are the invisible architecture of our lives. Think about the patterns that repeat over and over. Maybe it's procrastination, negative self-talk, overthinking, or reacting instead of responding. These habits are the chains that keep you trapped in the same results year after year. The good news is this: habits can be broken, replaced, and transformed, but it starts with awareness. You can't let go of what you don't see. You have to notice the patterns, call them out, and decide consciously to release them. And as you do, you make space for the habits that will fuel your success, the behaviors that align with the life you want to create in 2026. Now let's talk about beliefs. Your beliefs are the lens through which you see the world, and if those beliefs are limiting, they will dictate your results. A limiting belief might sound like this: I'm not ready, I don't have enough, I can't compete with them, or I'll never be able to do that. These beliefs are like invisible chains wrapped tightly around your potential. And here's the thing: the only way to break those chains is to let them go. You must challenge them. You must confront them. You must replace them with IEFs that empower you. And this isn't some vague exercise. It's deliberate, intentional, and sometimes uncomfortable work. But the moment you let go of a limiting belief, you open the door to possibilities you never even imagined. You step into your own power and realize that the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the story you've been telling yourself. Relationships are another area where letting go can create massive transformation. We all know people who drain our energy, people who criticize, people who diminish our sense of possibility, and yet we cling to them out of habit, obligation, or fear of confrontation. But here's the reality: the people you surround yourself with have a profound impact on your results. You can't rise above the energy that's around you. If you want 2026 to be extraordinary, you must be willing to release relationships that hold you back and make room for those that elevate you. And this doesn't mean burning bridges recklessly. It means setting boundaries, prioritizing your growth, and being unapologetic about the energy you allow into your life. And here's something many people overlook: letting go isn't just about releasing the negative. It's about making room for the positive. You can't welcome abundance, joy, success, or love into your life if your hands are already full of old grievances, unmet expectations, and regrets. Life has a way of filling the spaces we create. When you let go, you make space for opportunity. When you release, you invite growth. When you choose to forgive, you free your energy to move forward with clarity, purpose, and power. Let's not underestimate the power of forgiveness in this process. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as excusing bad behavior or pretending that nothing happened. But true forgiveness is about releasing yourself from the chains of resentment and anger. When you forgive, you reclaim your power. You stop giving your energy away to someone else's mistakes. You stop allowing the past to dictate your present. And this is crucial for 2026, because if you enter the new year carrying resentment, you are building your future on a foundation of pain, not potential. And here's the beauty of letting go: it's not a one-time event, it's a practice. Every day presents opportunities to release what no longer serves you. Every moment gives you a chance to make a conscious choice. Am I going to carry this burden, or am I going to step into freedom? The more you practice letting go, the easier it becomes. The more you release, the lighter you feel. And the lighter you feel, the faster you can move toward your goals, the clearer your vision becomes, and the more confident you are in the life you're building. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what if I let go and nothing comes to replace it? What if I lose too much? And here's the truth: when you let go, life has a way of giving back tenfold. When you release the old, you create the space for something better, something aligned, something extraordinary. You'll find doors opening that you never even knew existed. Opportunities will appear that were invisible when you were weighed down by what no longer served you. You'll meet people who inspire you, ideas that excite you, and experiences that transform you. But it all starts with the courage to let go. And here's one final point: letting go is an act of self-respect. It's a declaration that you value your time, your energy, and your potential more than the comfort of holding on to the familiar. When you choose to release what doesn't serve you, you are saying yes to yourself. You are choosing to honor your vision, your goals, and your dreams. And when you do that, the universe responds. Doors open, momentum builds, and what once felt begins to feel inevitable. So as you step into 2026, ask yourself this: what am I willing to let go of today, this week, this month, so that I can create the life I desire? What weight am I carrying that is holding me back from greatness? The answer might not be easy, but it will be powerful. And the moment you make the choice to release, you will feel a shift, a liberation, a clarity, a sense of possibility that you may not have experienced in years. Because when you let go, you don't just make room, you make the impossible possible. Now, as we stand on the edge of 2026, I want you to consider the question that will define the entire year. Who do I need to become to achieve the life I want? Not what you need to do, not what you need to have, but who you need to be. Because here's the truth. Results are a reflection of identity. The actions you take, the habits you form, the choices you make, they all flow from the person you believe yourself to be. If you want different results, you must become a different person. And this is where so many people get stuck. They focus on goals, but they neglect the person they must become to achieve those goals. And that's why even when they try, they struggle to break through. But when you shift your focus to identity, to becoming the person capable of extraordinary results, everything changes. Ask yourself, what are the qualities, habits, and mindset of the person who would naturally achieve my goals in 2026? Imagine that person in your mind. How do they think? How do they respond to challenges? How do they treat themselves and others? How do they invest their energy and time? Now, realize this. Those qualities are not reserved for a lucky few. They are available to you, but only if you commit to embodying them consistently. You can't fake it for a day and expect permanent change. Becoming the person you need to be is a daily choice. Every decision, every habit, every interaction is a brick in the foundation of your new identity. And here's where most people miss it. Identity transformation isn't about motivation alone. Motivation is temporary. It fluctuates. Some days you'll feel it, some days you won't. But identity is built through action, through consistent behavior, through deliberate practice. When you act like the person you aspire to be, even when you don't feel like it, your identity starts to shift. You begin to see yourself differently. You begin to make decisions naturally from the perspective of that new self. And before long, the results in your life begin to align with the person you have become. Consider the power of language and belief in this process. The words you use shape the identity you step into every day. If you say, I can't, I'm not enough, or I'll never be able to do that, you are reinforcing the old identity that limits you. But if you choose words that reflect the person you want to become, words like I am capable, I embrace challenges, I rise above, you are telling your mind and your body who you are becoming. Your subconscious mind doesn't differentiate between fantasy and reality. It responds to the signals you send. Speak the language of your new identity, and you will start to act like it. Habits are another critical part of becoming who you need to be. Your habits are not just routines. They are expressions of your identity. If you want to be successful, disciplined, and fulfilled in 2026, you must cultivate the habits that reflect those qualities. Habits are the bridge between desire and results, but habits aren't built overnight. They are the result of repeated action, of showing up even when it's uncomfortable, of committing to the long game. Every small decision matters. Every choice to act in alignment with your desired identity reinforces. And over time, the new identity becomes natural, automatic, and unstoppable. Let's also talk about courage, because becoming who you need to be requires stepping into discomfort. The person who achieves extraordinary results is not the person who avoids challenges. They are the person who leans into them. They face fear, uncertainty, and resistance with determination. They don't wait for perfect conditions or guaranteed outcomes. They act decisively with faith in their own ability to navigate whatever comes. And here's the critical insight. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in spite of fear. Every time you act courageously, you reinforce the identity of someone capable of extraordinary results. Every time you step forward, even when it's scary, you are telling yourself, this is who I am, and relationships matter too. The person you need to become is influenced by the people you spend your time with. Surround yourself with those who embody the qualities you aspire to. Learn from them, be inspired by them, and allow their energy to elevate you. At the same time, recognize when certain relationships no longer serve your growth. Identity transformation often requires making space for people who reflect the person you are becoming and releasing those who keep you tied to the past. You can't rise above the average energy around you, so be intentional about the company you keep. Now, let's address persistence. Becoming the person you need to be is not a linear journey. You will face setbacks, failures, doubts, and days when you question whether it's even possible. But here's the key. Persistence is non-negotiable. The person you need to become doesn't quit when things get hard. They embrace challenges as opportunities to grow. They see failure not as a verdict, but as feedback. And they use every experience, good or bad, to reinforce the qualities of the person they are becoming. Consistency, resilience, and determination are the hallmarks of the identity that produces extraordinary results. Vision is another critical piece. To become the person you need to be, you must have a clear picture of who that person is and what their life looks like. Without a compelling vision, it's easy to get distracted, to revert to old habits, and to settle for mediocrity. But when your vision is clear, it acts like a magnet, pulling your actions and decisions into alignment. Every choice becomes easier when you ask, does this action reflect the person I want to be? And does this move me toward my vision? The clearer your vision, the more natural it becomes to step into your new identity every single day. And finally, recognize that identity is cumulative. The person you are becoming is shaped by every thought, every action, every decision. There is no single moment that defines you, but rather a series of choices that add up over time. If you commit to daily intentional action in alignment with your desired identity, 2026 will not just be another year, it will be the year you become unstoppable. So ask yourself, who must I become to make 2026 the year of my breakthrough? What qualities must I embody? What habits must I form? What mindset must I adopt? The answers are inside you, waiting for your commitment. Step into that person fully, act consistently, embrace challenges, and refuse to settle for anything less than your highest potential. Because when you become the person you were meant to be, the life you've imagined is inevitable.